Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for today's town hall. We'll be covering a variety of topics around different resources and support for our new international students and their families. Please note that preparations and planning for the fall are still underway, and we plan to answer as many questions as we can with you today. But if we're unable to address some of your questions, we will work to gather those resources and answers for our next town hall, which will occur at the end of this month. Throughout our presentation, please feel free to ask any questions that you may have using the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. We are recording our content today, so you'll be able to view this at a later date, and we'll share that link with you, and it's also available on our YouTube page. If you are watching this as a recording, we ask you to submit any additional questions to the contact information on our final slide. And last but not least, if there are other updates or resources or information that become available throughout the summer, you will be able to access that at our Back to Bentley website. If you haven't viewed it yet, we highly encourage you to review it. It is a centralized location for the university to continue to update all of our new Falcons and family members as we prepare for the fall. So we're going to go ahead and get things started with some introductions. I'll start. My name is Bobby Lynn Kekik, and I am the Director for New Student Programs. I have the great privilege of working with a variety of campus partners to help coordinate the onboarding and orientation programs for our undergraduate new students. I have another member of my team who's joining us and would love to welcome her to introduce herself now.
Hi everyone, my name is Rachel. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm a third year here at Bentley and one of the orientation student coordinators. And today I'm here to answer any questions you may have about the student experience at Bentley.
Thanks, Rachel. And now I'd like to turn it over to my colleagues in the Center for International Students and Scholars to introduce themselves and then get started with our content for today's town hall.
Thanks, BL. My name is Nia DeYoung, and I'm Director of the Center for International Students and Scholars, and we're excited to welcome you all and have a chance to talk to you today. And with me, I have my colleague who will introduce herself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Anna Garson, and I'm a Senior Advisor in the Center for International Students and Scholars.
So we'll give you a bit of an overview about our office, some details about what to expect for the fall 2021 semester, and then we'll have about 45 minutes for questions and answers. So as BL mentioned, if you have questions as we go, please click on the bottom of your screen, the Q&A, and you can type questions in. And after that, we'll have some more time to open up for discussion. So I will pass the mic back to Anna to get us started.
Great. All right, so today we are going to go over some important information for you all from the CISS, or the Center for International Students and Scholars. So before we get started, just as a general introduction to who we are a team of international student advisors. So you likely have already been working with us for your visa process. And our office, as you may already know, helps you before you arrive, and we also help you once you're here. So we provide immigration assistance from before you even arrive at Bentley until after graduation for some of you who may pursue work authorization after you graduate. So we only have, a handful of you all here with us today, but we do have many international students on our campus. We have 826 international students on campus with 75 countries represented. And that makes up a total of 14% of our undergraduate population and 23% of our graduate population. So you will meet many more students from all over the world. Even students from the US at Bentley are from all different parts of the United States. So we are truly a global campus. So this is our entire team. So Nia and I are joining you today. We also have another advisor in our office, Brittany Mackey. You may have been working with her for I20 purposes. She likely has been in communication with you. Teresa Lamoureux is our administrative coordinator. If you come into our office during your time at Bentley, she is one of the first faces you will see. And we have also many student employees and interns who you will meet, who help us with our phones and our emails, and also who sit at our front desk in our office. So how can we help you during your time at Bentley? So as I already mentioned, we help you with immigration advising and all of the details regarding your F1 visa and registering your immigration record once you arrive. So once you get that F1 visa, you come to campus and we help you activate your F1 status. And then we also provide you with any other immigration advising you may need. So that immigration advising does include employment options for F1 students. So on-campus employment, off-campus employment options, which we won't go over in depth today, but they are known as OPT or CPT. So those are certain benefits that you may be able to apply for or use while you're here. And we offer workshops on that throughout the semester. So if you're interested in learning more, you can certainly attend one of those. We also help you with travel guidance or provide you with travel guidance. So that includes any changes to travel restrictions, particularly right now during COVID, but that also includes giving you a signature on your I20 form so that you can travel and re-enter the US. And provide you with a list of documents you may need for re-entry. Apart from the immigration side, we also can help with getting adjusted to Bentley. So coming to Bentley is a new experience for all students, whether you're from the United States or from another country. So our office particularly helps international students with some of that adjustment and getting used to the US classroom, getting used to the Bentley campus. So we provide some programming for you all as well, and are also available as a resource if you'd like to come talk to us or having any issues becoming acclimated to our campus. So again, resource referral, so you can always come to us no matter whether you're a new student or you're a continuing student. If you don't know where to go for something, our office can be your home base, so we can help point you in the right direction.
And now we'll share a bit more about the fall semester and what to expect for fall. We know there's a lot of moving pieces and changing updates, so we want to make sure that you have the latest information as of today. So to begin, we know that everyone, most students are looking for visas or trying to contact consulates and embassies in order to get visas. So the first step in that process is submitting your information to admissions to the portal, so that then CISS will have all the necessary information to create your I-20 document. Once you have your I-20, you'll be able to actually make that appointment to get your F1 visa. And if you have questions about that, feel free to pop anything in the chat. We know there have been restrictions and changing sort of access about which consulates and embassies are open and whether or not you'll be able to get your visa in time. We are hopeful that students will be able to get back to or enter the US by September 7th. That's our deadline to arrive. And there are still many travel restrictions in place depending on where you're from, but there is a national interest exception so that it makes it a bit easier for students on the F1 visa to get into the US. So happy to share more about that. Hopefully most of you are in the process of getting your visa now and things are going pretty smoothly. If you do have difficulties at the consulate or embassy getting an appointment, you can let us know and we'll try to contact our local senator so that they can reach out to the Department of State and try to facilitate that process at all or find out why there might be additional reasons for any holdups or delays. We are requiring students for Bentley University to be vaccinated by August 1st, 2021. And that means that you would be fully vaccinated, if you have a 2-part vaccine, you would have gotten both parts of it. And by the time you come to campus, you'll have that 2 weeks to sort of adjust to having been vaccinated for the past couple of weeks. We're also requiring students to update that vaccination card to the Bentley Health Portal to show proof that you have been vaccinated. We understand that in some countries, there's still not full access for everyone to get vaccinated yet. I know that the rollouts have been different, maybe targeting the older adult populations or targeting people of a certain age or with certain health conditions. So we understand that it might take a little bit longer for you to get that vaccination. And we are hoping to provide additional resources for Bentley, and we'll let you know as soon as we have those details finalized, if it might be possible for you to get vaccinated, for example, once you get on campus. But we want to work through those details with the health center and with our many different teams and offices at Bentley are trying to make sure that we have all the information possible before we tell students what steps are next. And I talked a bit about the I20 already, so I'll skip that last part. Some other temporary changes related to COVID-19. As for school policy, undergraduate students are required to take their course load fully on campus. So if there's anyone in the call right now who is not going to be an undergraduate student seeking a bachelor's degree, happy to address your concerns. If you're a graduate student, just let us know. There are some different requirements for graduate students. But for undergraduate students, you are required to take classes on campus in person during the fall semester. Students who are undergraduates must take 12 credits per semester. That's considered a full load of courses. And for grad students, it's actually 9 credits per semester. And as I said, there are some different requirements for graduate students where they are allowed to take online and hybrid courses. However, if it's your first semester as a grad, you still cannot be fully remote. Because in order to maintain your F1 status. So once you're in the United States, is when your F1 status actually would begin. And if you're studying outside of the US, make sure that we know, and we'll let you know if there's any other information you need to know about maintaining status. If you're outside of the US in your first semester, you will not have F1 status until you get here. So for undergraduates, the only real possibility is that you have to be on campus, because we won't be allowing undergraduate students to study online in the fall semester. If you are a transfer student or a change of level student, you are able to study remotely. So again, if we have any students who are transfer students, change of level students, or graduate students, we're happy to address any additional questions. We're kind of targeting this specific chat towards undergrads, but we don't want to leave you out. So if you have additional questions, please put them in the Q&A and we'll make sure to address those. And this information is more directed to international graduate students, but as I said, if there are graduate students in this call, let us know. You are required to take a full load of classes. Graduate students who are new to Bentley cannot be completely remote and have F1 status. So you would be allowed to study remotely, but you won't be able to get or maintain an F1 from outside the US if this is your first semester. And some questions that we've seen just coming in from new students are about the requirements for arriving to campus. So the last date that you can arrive would be September 7th, 2021. That is also the first day of classes for the university. So we want to make sure you're there by then, because as Anna referenced, we have a registration period for your immigration and record. So we want to make sure that your record is up to date in time to start the semester and to get you smoothly situated for the fall. Vaccines are required by August 1st, and you should be able to update that information in your vaccine card to the Bentley Health Portal. And for hybrid courses, in order to maintain status in your first semester, students must take at least one hybrid or in-person course, and that counts as the in-person requirement. So you will be on campus, but most classes for the fall, there will be access to take your classes in person. We're expecting to be fully in person in the fall semester, so that will be exciting, since this past year we spent doing a lot of hybrid and not fully kind of back to campus, but with a lot of exceptions in between. Also, health insurance, if you are currently outside of the US, you will need to complete a residency form to confirm your location, and insurance can be waived if you're not in the US. But again, for undergraduate students, you would need to be in the US in order to study at Bentley in the fall. And we have a couple of questions coming through the Q&A, but please go ahead and keep typing those in, and so that we can address anything that maybe we didn't share here yet, or questions that you have to clarify anything. Let us know where you're from, what your travel plans are, if there's anything we can do to assist at the point where you are right now in the process.
Thanks so much, Nia. One thing I did want to mention as a selfish plug around orientation is I know that we do have that deadline for, starting being on that September 7th. But if our students are able to arrive earlier, we would love you to come and participate in our new student orientation program, which will be starting on September 2nd. So that will give you an opportunity to be able to connect with our colleagues from CISS. It will also provide you the opportunity to meet with different faculty and staff. We recognize that travel might look different, and also getting everything squared away with your visa. So we completely understand that. But if you are able to join us, we would absolutely love to have you on campus to meet some other new Falcons and some of our upper class students to really get things started on the right foot. So just wanted to give a little selfish plug there.
And I'll chime in, there was a question about vaccines. As I said, we know that some countries are rolling them out in different ways to different members of the population at different times. So while we know that obviously COVID is still going on, it's not over at all. We would recommend, it's recommended that you get vaccinated as soon as possible with any vaccine that's readily available to you, and then upload that documentation of your immunization to Bentley Health Portal. If you get vaccinated with something that's currently not on the FDA or WHO accepted vaccine list, if it gets added to the WHO list before the start of the semester, then you would be all set and you won't need to be vaccinated again. If you're not able to get vaccinated at all, then hopefully the plan is that you would still be able to enter campus, but you would still be required to get revaccinated once you have returned, or once you've entered the US. So our hope is that we would be able to set something up, some options for students to be able to do that. And when we have more information, we will share that with all new students.
Yes, I believe we have, going along with the vaccine theme, there is a question for students who are under 18 years old who will be entering before they're eligible. So luckily in the US, I believe 16 plus, I think they just expanded it recently to 12 to 15 as well. But in the US, it is available to students who are 17 or individuals who are 17 years of age. So as Nia mentioned, even if your home country, you may not be eligible yet. Hopefully, with more information as we're getting it from Bentley and from our health center, we can provide resources for you to be able to go out in the community and get your COVID vaccine in the United States where it is available to you.
And we have a question from a high school student who's already on an F1 visa. And they're asking if they would need to apply for a new F1 visa for Bentley or just have it transferred from your high school. So if you are currently a high school student and you have an I20 from your current school, your school could actually transfer your CVIS record to Bentley University. And then Bentley, once we have your record, your CVIS record, we can actually work with that to create a new I20 for you for the fall semester. And transferring your CVIS record means that your CVIS ID number, the number that starts with N00, it stays the same. So the benefit of that is that you don't need a new visa unless your current one has expired. But if you're already in the United States as you're transferring, then you don't need a new visa. The visa is only required at the port of entry. So if you're flying in or driving across the border to the US, you would need an updated F1 visa, just that has not expired yet. So if your F1 visa is still valid, that's fine, but I would make sure that you can transfer your record. And we're happy to help you with transferring your record from your current school to Bentley. As you're filling out the VICFR form with the undergraduate portal, you will see some information and some questions about transferring. So make sure that you have completed that form for the admissions portal. There's also a question about, in how many days should I expect my I-20 to be ready if I submit my VICFR form today? So if you submit your form today, you would need to allow about 7 to 10 days for undergraduate admissions to review all of your documents and make sure that they are acceptable to move forward. So they'll review all the information, make sure that it's right, and then they will share that information with our office, with CISS. And that would be about 2 additional weeks to process all of the I-20s, or to process the new I-20 for you. Once we process it, it will be updated in the admissions portal, so you can access it there, but you'll get an email notification after the undergraduate admissions team has reviewed everything, and another email once everything is ready, once your I-20 is ready, and your welcome packet that has all the information about how to go about requesting your visa and how to go about requesting making travel arrangements to come to the US. So I hope that answered your question. If there's anything lingering there, please feel free to add more to the Q&A. The next question looks like a housing question, and I may defer to BL on this, but it's
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm happy to answer that. Yeah, so I think it's really important for any of our students or family members of students who are on the chat who are planning to live on campus. First off, make sure that you do log in to the housing portal to sign and confirm your housing contract and application. That's the first important step to take. That deadline to complete that task is June 23rd. So please make sure that you are going in to accomplish that task. And then from there, the residential center staff will work together to create the housing placements, which will be sent out to students via email in late July. So that's when you'll find out where your housing placement is, if you have a roommate, who that person is. So if you'd like to start connecting with them, you'll be able to do that. And then in regards to arrival, we are connecting that to the orientation program. So our arrival would be on September 2nd. Now we recognize that, again, travel may be challenging, especially from our students who are traveling from a little bit further. So you can always reach out to our staff in the residential center by emailing them at housing@bentley.edu to request an early arrival, and they'll review that request and be able to connect with you to set up the best possible arrival time for you. So just a little bit of information there. There's a few.
Yep.
Yeah, I was going to say there's a few questions in there about the insurance piece. Yeah, I didn't know if you wanted to speak to that or if you wanted me to speak to that at all.
I would say I'm going to give that to you, Bia. The insurance questions, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So one thing that I would highly encourage for folks to do is to review this information in our new student guide. So this was emailed out to all new students, but also any family members who we also have contact information for was emailed. It is available on our website and is also on the Bentley Connect portal. There are much more details than we're going to cover in that document, but there's a lot of information there. So for our international students, you are going to be enrolled in the insurance plan. There are some specific exceptions. So if you do have an insurance plan that's connected through an embassy, there is a way that you might be able to waive that. So we do encourage you to review the information in the new student guide so that way you can have more details. We use university health plans as a provider to get everything set up for our insurance, but all those details for pricing, deadlines are all in that new student guide. So highly encourage you to review that.
And I would chime in also that the office that will help with student health insurance is Student Financial Services, which isn't always, immediately intuitive, but Student Financial Services is, they would be able to assist with breakdown with payment information with the actual plan itself. The health center is also involved, I believe, in health insurance. Oh, this is a good question. Maybe this is one for Rachel. What are some basic things we need to take or buy for the dorm room?
Yeah, I can take this. So I would say there's a great list that we'll probably be sending out at some point during the summer with a list of all the essentials plus some other things that might be nice to have. Just like off the top of my head, there's things like, the towels, your shower caddy, shower shoes, your bedding, like if you want to have a mattress topper, like all those types of things. And then on that list, there's going to be different categories of things like your toiletries. So the shampoos and the things that you need for your day-to-day activities. And then there's other things that are more like school related, like your books and your binders, pencils and stuff like that. So we are going to send out that really extensive list. We're working with someone from the residential center who also has a really great idea of the types of things that are going to make your day-to-day life easier living in the dorm. So that is soon to come.
And I would also follow that up with, we recognize when people are traveling from much further, you cannot always bring tons and tons of, basic things with you. So we will provide opportunities for students to be able to go to some of the local stores in our area. There's many stores that are close to campus too. We've had some students who will purchase, different items online and will pick up in store if that's easier. So there's definitely a lot of options. Don't feel like you need to bring all of these items with you, but that list will be incredibly helpful just as you start to think about some of those pieces that are really helpful for your day-to-day and help to make things easier. But I think you're right, Rachel, with the shower shoes. That's definitely a good one.
Well, we can hang out for a while and hopefully get a few more questions in. If there's anything, there's no question too big or too small. It's helpful for us, even if we don't have the final answer on something for right now, it's helpful to gather information and know that this is something that students would like to know. So any sort of lingering questions, feel free to pop those in the Q&A. Or you could put in the Q&A and tell us where you're from. That would be nice too. Do we have any parents on the call?
Another way I would encourage, if folks are looking to stay connected throughout the summer, New Student Programs is really active through social media. So we're pretty active on Instagram. At Welcome Falcons is our handle. So if you are someone that finds yourself on Instagram, social media, please feel free to to take a look there, because we're constantly providing some of those tips that were asked around what should we bring to the residence halls, or what are some of the aspects to the student experience. So if you're not able to participate in some of these webinars moving forward, or just looking for other ways to gather information, I think that's a really great resource. Our Back to Bentley website is a really great resource. Honestly, just the Bentley website in general, there's a lot of information there. But never hesitate to reach out to any of us, whether it's through email, or if you want to give us a call, or even if you want to set up a one-on-one Zoom meeting. We are happy to connect with folks to make sure that you're feeling comfortable. We know that this is a really big adjustment, and it's a big choice to come to Bentley and spend your your college time here with us. And so we want to make sure that you're feeling comfortable and prepared. Nia, we just got another question in that says, what if I am not fully vaccinated by the 1st of August?
Yes. Thank you for continuing to submit questions. And Bill, I was going to ask if we could show our last slide that has our email contact information as well, so that may be helpful. For that first question, what if you're not vaccinated by the 1st? If you're able to get vaccinated at any point before you come to campus, then definitely still upload your information in the health portal. I'm not sure if there is any sort of penalty for submitting it after the 1st, but there is a benefit for submitting it by, I believe it's by mid-June. But if you're not fully vaccinated by the 1st, I would say as soon as you are able to get vaccinated, just update that information to the health portal, and that would be great.
I imagine there may be some limitations about coming to campus, depending on whether you're vaccinated by the 1st or not. I think that the information is still evolving. As international students on an F1 visa, you're allowed in the country just 30 days before your program start date on your I20. So you wouldn't be able to get into the country before, I believe it's August 1st, correct me, Nia, if that date is incorrect, but I believe it's August 1st. So again, if students are planning on getting their vaccine in the US, then that would probably not be done by August 1st. So we are still monitoring the situation and waiting for updates from Bentley about any flexibilities that may be provided for our international students.
Yeah, it is recommended that you get vaccinated as soon as possible, again, with any vaccine that is available to you. Obviously, Bentley is accepting the 5 vaccines right now that are approved by both the FDA and the WHO. There's a few vaccines that are WHO accepted that are not FDA accepted, but we would accept those for the purpose of coming back. So I know some students are maybe able to get 1 dose of the vaccine, but maybe not both. You'll be allowed to come back to campus, but you'll need to get revaccinated or vaccinated as soon as you get here. So that is the latest from our health center friends right now. But keep us posted. If you're able to get vaccinated at any time before you come back to campus, I would recommend doing that.
There is a question on here about what if your first dose is the 1st of July, should you submit evidence of your first dose on the health portal itself? So it sounds like you may be receiving your 2nd dose before you arrive. And maybe BL, I'm not sure if you know more about this, but I would think that it would be evidence of both doses. Is that correct?
Yeah, you need to submit your vaccine card to the Bentley Health Portal, so that would be with both. But if you're getting the 1st dose in July, then hopefully you'll have your 2nd dose by August 1st, and then you should be able to submit that final vaccine card. There was another question about, would you be able to help if my visa is taking longer than expected for processing? Anna, do you want to take that one?
Sure. Yeah. So unfortunately, we do not control visas. So we help you with the process. We issue your I-20, but we do not control visa issuance. However, there are certain cases if your visa goes into something called administrative processing, or other times when it is taking an unusually long period of time, where we may be able to reach out to local members of Congress here in the United States, and sometimes they can help inquire, so ask the question of the consulate, why is this taking so long? But that's really determined case by case. Unfortunately, I think visa processing times in general are longer than usual right now. So, if it's still a part of the normal processing time as determined by your consulate, or, as is typical in your country, then we may not necessarily be able to help. But certainly contact us if there's an issue with your visa, or if you have reason to believe that there's a problem, it's in administrative processing, or it's taking an unusually long time, sometimes we are able to ask on your behalf, again, through our congressional leaders. It's not a guarantee, but we do have some resources.
And I also I'm going to try to answer that question in the chat as well by putting the link. So as Anna was referencing, our local representative, Senator Edward Markey, and also other senators, but they have folks in their office who actually connect directly to the Department of State. So it's like a Department of State liaison. And the Department of State is the federal agency that helps with consulates and manages consulates and embassies around the world. So if you reach out to Senator Edward Markey's office, there's a website page specifically about getting help with a federal agency. So the nice part is it's now online. It used to be just a paper document, but you can just submit it all online now. So you could you could go to that website, which I'll send the link to this person in the Q&A here. But you'll fill out some information about your personal details, date of birth, things like that, and then you can specifically say the issue that you're having. So whether it's a delay, as Anna was saying, administrative processing, or some like a visa denial or other issues, you can reach out and tell them that, and they may be able to get more information for you. It's not 100% guaranteed that everything will go smoothly after that, but it has been helpful a good amount of times. So I put that in the chat in case that is helpful for the person who had that question. And would starting college in spring 2022 be an option if the visa is not obtained on time? Yes. You could defer. We would love for you to start in the fall, but deferring is an option if you're not able to get your F1 visa in time. Deferring to spring 2022 is an option, but let us know. Again, we can, if there's any way that we can help with getting the visa or help with additional resources that might make the process a bit smoother to get the visa, then we'd like to do that. So definitely email us the email on the top of the screen here, ga_ciss@bentley.edu, and we will see if there's anything else we can do to try to get you here in the fall.
We have another vaccine question. So I think we've gone over this a little bit, but a student who is from Brazil, and the vaccination process is slow, so you won't be able to get the first vaccine by the first, only getting to the US. Is that okay? So yes, right now the tentative deadline to get your vaccine is August 1st. So that again, we're trying to figure out, what flexibilities may or may not be made for students who are unable to get their vaccine before they arrive. Luckily, in the U.S. right now, the vaccine is widely available, so it's not too difficult to get an appointment, and it's not restricted to U.S. citizens or permanent residents. So hopefully come August, it will still be as simple to be able to go and book a vaccine appointment once you get here.
We also have, is there any way happening? I wanted to put also in the chat, there is a Bentley vaccination webpage that hopefully everyone has seen, but in case there's anything that's added there that's new information, I just want to make sure that you all have the link for that. I'm not sure how to put that in the chat for everybody, but I will answer someone's question, and I'll just put that link in there so that you have it in case that website is updated, in case anything changes about what vaccines are approved or the requirements for Bentley. That would be kind of an easier place to access it.
What we can also do, Nia, is once we post this recording up to YouTube, we can put in the detail information. We can include some of these links too. So if folks are unable to write them down now or take them into account, we're happy to include those in the description so that people have them for easy access. And there was a question about the list of essential needs to have. So we will be including that in our newsletter that we'll send out to students and families here in throughout the summer. We'll also post that up to our social media accounts as well. So it will be easily accessible for you to be able to have that content.
There is another vaccine question as well, and this is, does it matter which vaccine you are taking? So right now, the vaccines that Bentley is accepting are the 3 FDA authorized vaccines, which are Pfizer, Moderna, and Janssen or Johnson & Johnson. And the WHO vaccines are AstraZeneca, Sinopharm, and Sinovac, Coronavac. So those are the 6 actually that are being accepted right now. If that changes, then that would be updated on our website. It's actually in this section. For this attendee, I will put the link to the vaccination site. And in case that changes, it'll be updated on our website. But those are the ones that Bentley is accepting right now.
There was a question about the bathrooms in the residence hall, so I'm happy to take that question. So in our first year area buildings, those are shared communal restrooms. There are a variety of them sprinkled throughout the buildings. Some are closer to some of the residence hall spaces, so you're welcome to kind of spread yourself out throughout the building, but there are communal restrooms that are close to each of those areas. As you start to navigate up through the residential process and you shift from a more traditional first year hall to our suites and our apartments, then that's when you'll start to see bathrooms that are within suite or within the actual apartment. But for the first year area buildings, those are communal restrooms.
And someone has asked a question about where can I find the list of essentials that I'll need to have? I think Rachel mentioned that earlier. I don't know if there's a link yet, or there's going to be an email you said going out.
Yeah, we'll include that in our newsletter series.
There is another question about quarantining. BL, do you have any additional information about quarantining? I can just share a snippet.
I do not.
There will be, I believe, more official information about quarantine coming from our emergency planning team as well as the health center. So I would stay tuned for that about what sort of quarantine requirements there will be in Massachusetts by August, because that's also subject to change with the amount of the number of folks in the population who've been vaccinated. Quarantine regulations requirements may be a little bit different than they were, for example, last fall. Anna, do you want to take this question from Carlos?
Yes. So based on the class start date on September 7th, when is the earliest date of U.S. entrance with the F1 visa? So it is 30 days before your program start date. So that's the orientation date. So that is, orientation is August 30th. So 30 days before that would be August 1st. So that would be your earliest possible entry to the United States on your F1 visa.
This is great. We got some great questions. Thanks to all the participants for putting those questions in. It's a lot of things that are hopefully going to get more and more finalized as we get closer to the school year. And as BL has shared, we'll be sending more information. There'll be more information coming out. So just want to thank everyone for their questions.
Yeah, and you can continue to reach out to us through our contact information that's on the screen right now. We do have the second town hall that we'll be offering at the end of this month. So if you would like to come back and join us for any of those updates that we have or other questions that might come up, please feel free to join us. We will record these sessions so you're able to review them at a later date. And we would highly encourage you to continue to review the Back to Bentley website. We will link those resources that we discussed through our time together today in the description of this video, so you'll have those easily accessible. And please do not hesitate to reach out to us. We know there's a lot of questions and a lot of work that needs to get done to get folks here, and we want to make sure that you can start here with us in the fall. Before we do wrap up, there was one final question, so we'll answer this and then we'll wrap up for the day. But this last question states, what do you think most international students have struggles with in regards to arriving, adjusting on campus? Any advice?
That's a good question to wrap up with. That's a great question. Anna, think about this one. We've got a lot of, that during orientation, we do remind students that cultural adjustment is a big thing. If you've been to the US before, you might have experienced some of it, or some students have studied here already and have had that exposure. I would say one of the biggest things is, besides the weather, would be just getting used to kind of reading sort of cultural cues and knowing that things might be different. I know a lot of students will say, I say hi to people and then they just keep walking by, just say, hi, how are you? But they're not expecting an answer. So I think there's just different sort of cultural stuff that you may or may not be accustomed to, the way that we greet each other, the way that we engage in conversation, the way that, invites are given out is very different. But I think that you're also coming into a campus that's very business centered. So that's also part of it. There's a lot of cultural differences and some things that you might not expect. So Anna, what do you?
So as I mentioned earlier, coming to Bentley as a first year student is it's a new environment for everyone. So getting used to what it's like to be in college and live on campus. So I think you can be reassured that many students, if not all of them, are going through a similar adjustment experience, learning what it's like to live in a residence hall with other people, what it's like to take college classes. Obviously for international students, for some of you, English may not be your first language. This may be the first time that you're using it in your day-to-day. So that's an added challenge. The US classroom style. So those who went to high school in the US may be more familiar with some of the ways that professors may conduct classes or the assignments that they may give. So that will certainly be an adjustment. The food. So we often have students say that's in our orientation that it shocks them how early we eat dinner in the US. Some students are already thinking about dinner at 4:30 p.m., 5 p.m. So it's the little things, I think. A lot of our students say that they didn't necessarily expect when they came, realizing that the pharmacy in the US sells candy, like little things that you'll laugh about maybe later as you get more familiar with US customs and culture. But I think just be prepared for there to be some level of learning and getting used to things during your first several weeks, if not months. And we're always available if you just want to talk, or again, if you have questions that we can help you answer. But yes, this is an adjustment for everyone. So we will help you navigate them, but don't worry, we're here.
Wonderful. Well, I want to thank my colleagues in the Center for International Students and Scholars. Thank you all to the participants who joined us, all our new incoming international students and their families. It was such a pleasure to be able to connect with you, even on this virtual platform, and we're really looking forward to be able to continue this connection throughout the summer and hopefully getting to meet you in the fall. If you have any questions, please reach out to us at the email addresses provided on this contact slide, and we will have this presentation available on our YouTube page, which you can also find from our website. So thank you all so much. Enjoy the rest of your day or evening, and we look forward to connecting with you soon. Thanks so much.
Thank you.